Frostgale Mont is coming very soon. I'll cover a kit very quickly and give my thoughts on her. So Frostgale Mont is an ice and wind assassin, and she can swap the forms in the battle. So for A0, she can freely change between modes, while Spring's Edge and Winter's Edge is not active. So Spring's Edge and Winter's Edge is the skill 3 basically. Skill 3 activities, we'll talk about that when we go to skill 3. Then when you change the modes, you also obviously change the elements of your skill and your highlight. And your skill and highlight will do different things depending on the type. And generally the wind is better because the wind just has better numbers. Then at the start of battle, she will be in spring mode, but if there are more allies in the party that have ice than the wind, then she will be in the ice mode. Then for every one spring's vestige or winter's vestige that she gains, she will permanently increase her attack by 5% up to 7 stacks. So she can get up to 35% attack, permanent attack buff in the battle. And to get spring's vestige, you basically just attack with a wind or an ice skill depending on which mode you want to use. So this is I think a new thing that they add to Mont, which gives us more attack buff, which is nice I guess, but it's nothing crazy, just 35% attack. But I mean, we have to test it to know for sure. It could prove very strong. The first passive is when you have a wind ally in the party, you increase Mont's damage by 33%. And same thing for ice also. So that's like the annoying part about Mont, especially right now for global. We only have 2 wind characters, and those are Floret and Morgana. Morgana is very useless. Floret is a bit weird to use with her. It's a double DPS team, but I think Floret can synergize well with Mont because Floret's multi-hitting nature, like his skills can hit multiple times, right? And trigger like more stacks for her for more damage. But yeah, anyway, second passive. While in spring mode, each time an ally attacks with wind attribute, you increase party's attack by 8.1% for 2 turns, stacks up to 5 times. And for the winter mode, the ice mode, each time one gets a shield, you increase party's defense by 9% for 2 turns, up to 4 times, so 36% defense buff to the party. So this is quite interesting because it kind of makes it so that you can run her with Fox because it buffs defense and Fox scales defense. So a double DPS team with Fox and Frostgale Mont, who is I think it's probably viable. It's gonna be interesting to test that. Let's move on to the skill 3 first. So after using skill 3, you get Spring's Edge. You can just treat this as like a field effect. Okay, it shows in the image here, it's a free field effect for 1 turn. And it's also of course a damaging move that hit 3 times. Then while this field effect is active, when allies deal wind damage with a skill, highlight or resonance, deal wind damage to the selected target equal to 20% of Mont's attack. So basically just more damage. Then when Spring's Edge ends, spend all Spring's vestige stacks and deal wind damage to the target selected that turn. And depending on the number of Spring's vestige stacks used, 2 more damage. So it's number of the stacks plus 4 times 36.4% attack. So if you're like, I'm not sure what's the cap of this one, I think it's like 3 or 4. Yeah, regardless, it's going to be like 7 times 36.4%. So it's a little bit confusing, but you can think of it like this. Use a skill 3, you activate this field effect thing. Then while this field effect is active for 1 turn, any wind damage that you do, you will get a stack for Mont. Then on Mont's turn, after she attacks, it's also when the field effect ends because only 1 turn, then she will do a follow-up attack based on the number of stacks that she gets from the wind allies. So that's pretty much how it works. So the rotation for her is most likely going to be like 3-1-3-1. Then the next one is the ice one. The ice version is kind of similar, but it hits only 1 time. Then when an ally takes an attack, you'll grant Glacial Heart, which is basically a shield. Then this can be activated 2 times. Then when allies deal ice damage with a skill, highlight or resonance, you gain Winter's Vestige. So it's a different stack because it's an ice one. Then when Winter's Edge ends, which is the field effect thing but for ice, you spend all the Vestige stacks and deal ice damage again depending on the number of stacks that you use. Very similar to the wind one, but this one for the ice one is going to be 1 hit from the skill tree itself, and then you give shield, which I think is interesting because this really implies you that you can just run with Fox, because Fox wants the shield also. Then next one we have skill 1. So skill 1 also has a wind and ice of course. Every skill has a wind and ice. For the skill 1 wind, you hit 3 times and you have 30% chance to inflict wind sweep. Then when Spring's Edge is active, so the field effect is active, you gain 1 more Spring's Vestige stack. So this one is new for global, you gain more stacks. And also inflict Spiral Sequence for 2 turns. Spiral Sequence is basically a stack that the enemy has. Then when you attack the enemy that has this stack, you increase crit damage. And for the ice version, you only hit 1 time and you have a very high chance of inflicting freeze. if the target is already frozen, to inflict on ice. Then this on ice thing increases the ice damage taken. It's a very low number, honestly. You compare 13.7 compared to 29.3 here, it's like 2 times less. And this one is damage taken and not crit damage, so it's even worse. Then we have skill 2, which is the only AoE move that Frostgale Mont has. So skill 2 win is 3 times. Then when the Spring's Edge is active, you gain 2 more Spring's Fetish stack. You gain more of this. Then for the Ice skill 2, it's also an AoE attack with a decent chance to freeze. Then when the Winter's Edge is active, which is the field effect is active, you increase skill damage by 20%, or just a bit more damage. But honestly, I don't think skill 2 is going to be useful, especially for wind. But I think for Ice 1 might be useful if you're using like a Fox team, because if you use Fox team, then you're probably gonna do like AoE damage maybe, and skill 2 would be useful. Actually, or maybe not, because skill 2 doesn't even buff anything, it just buffs itself. Okay, yeah, maybe not, maybe just skill 1 also. Now for a highlight, also has 2 types, the wind and ice. For the wind highlight, it hit the enemies 3 times. Then when Spring's Edge is active, you gain 1 more Spring's Fetish stack. The additional stack can exceed the maximum limit, so you can get 1 extra past the limit. Otherwise, deal 1 more hit of wind damage to selected target. The good idea is definitely to sync the highlight when skill 3 is active and get 1 more stack. So for the ice highlight, you do damage to 1 foe, and then you have 68.3% chance to inflict Icebound. Then when Winter's Edge is active, it's a skill 3, increased chance to inflict Icebound by 29.3%. Otherwise, increase highlight damage by 20%. I'm not really sure what's this Icebound thing, you can't exactly find it, but it's most likely a buff or something. Now for a 5-star weapon, you increase the attack, then each time Mont gain the Spring or Winter's Vestige, increase crit rate by 5.4% for 2 turns, like up to 3 times. You can get up to like 15% crit rate, which is a pretty good buff. Then when you activate the skill 3, you increase wind or ice damage by 27%. I think this weapon is a decent one because crit rate is just good. Then there's also 27% buff from the wind or ice skill when you activate skill 3. Now let's go through her awareness. So for A1, for the Spring mode, every time the Spring's Edge is active, you gain 1 Spring's Vestige stack. Then when Spring's Edge ends, you increase the follow-up damage by 8% for each Spring's Vestige stack. So basically just more damage for the follow-up attack. It's the same thing for the ice as well, so I'm not going to repeat. For A2, while Spring's Edge is active, decrease all foes' defense by 40% and decrease party SP cost for skills by 25%. Defense debuff is very good here, 40%. It's only like for 1 turn, but debuff is debuff, I guess. And for the ice mode, you increase party size damage by 30% and also decrease the SP cost of skills by 25%. For A4, in the Spring mode, when you use the highlight, gain 1 more Spring's Vestige stack, and this stack can exceed the maximum limit. Otherwise, increase highlight damage by 35%. Then it's also the same thing for the ice one. For A6, this one is quite long, but it's also a really good one. But after you activate Resonance, you extend the duration of Spring's Edge by 1 turn, but it becomes 2 turns now. Then you gain 2 Spring's Vestige stacks, and then gain 2 more Spring's Vestige stacks that can exceed the maximum limit. So you can get like 4 from this A6, which is quite strong. Then afterwards, the Resonance can be activated again. So I think this one is just a 2-hit Resonance. When Spring's Edge ends, increase the pierce rate by 4% for each Spring's Vestige stack. Pierce rate is very good, you all know that. So it's up to 20%, but the only downside is that it only applies to the flop pierce rate. So your regular skill pierce rate will not get the buff from the pierce rate. For the ice mode is exactly the same thing, but I'm not going to repeat that. Yeah, I think the AC is very strong. You can hit the follow-up attack twice, you get more stacks, and you extend the skill duration by 1 turn, so it becomes 2 turns. So it's going to be a big damage boost, which is expected from an A6. Now we're going to talk about her cards. On this card, it should release tomorrow. Her best card should be this Freedom and Success card. They might change the name in global, but I just recognize the description and the logo, I guess. But yeah, for the 2 set card, it's a crit rate buff, and the 4 set card is a follow-up damage buff. Then at the space card, Freedom and Success, when you use a Persona skill, gain the Glory stack up to 2 stacks, and then you consume those stacks when you use a follow-up attack. Then for each follow-up attack, you increase pierce by 8%, so that's 16% pierce from the card. And then if you have A6 just now, right, the like 30% pierce or something, or 20% pierce, follow-up attack is going to hit really hard, because assuming you have A6. Now for her teammates, this is going to be a bit interesting, because she does want a win teammate, right? Because of her passive, this one, you increase wind damage when you have wind characters, right? And there's also the skill 1 where you want to hit the opponents, then you can get a stack. And not skill 1, skill 3, because of the field effect thing. So you kind of do want a wind character. And right now, Global only has 2 wind characters, and that is Floret and Morgana. Morgana, we all know, terrible character, unfortunately. Floret, they might have to, maybe you can run double DPS with Mont and Floret, because the nice thing about Floret is that Floret's skills are multi-hitting skills, but you can give like stacks very quickly to Mont. But other than Floret, maybe the twins can work. Because the twins, you can run them as a medic or something. Then you can use this skill, medic or guardian. This one is also part wind, so you can get stacked to Mont. But the twins are not considered wind, they're considered almighty, so you don't really get the passive buff for Mont. And for support, obviously you want to run like the classic support with Leon or Horde. If you want to run ice, you can probably even run with Fox, because Mont's ice skills can buff like defense and give shields, right? So it's going to be interesting to see how she performs with Fox. If you're running a Fox team, you can run like a Fox Mont Twin or Fox Mont Cherish, because Cherish and Twins, their buffs are team-wide buffs, so Mont and Fox will appreciate the buff. So should you pull Frostgale Mont? Honestly, right now, it's most likely a no, because you also already have a free-to-play win DPS, which is Floret, and Floret is pretty decent if you are him at A6, even better with 5-star weapon. But right now, I don't really have a definitive answer, because I haven't actually tested her much, even on Taiwan. So if you are patient enough, you can hold on to your pools and wait for my final review video where I'll show my testings and results. So like and subscribe if you're interested in that. So right now I'm going to show you a little bit of gameplay on the Mont, Frostgale Mont, so you can get a bit of sense on how she works. You cut me some slack on this team, okay? I don't really have a lot of characters from Taiwan. I'm gonna buff Mont. So Mont is, I think, quite straightforward to use. You pretty much alternate between just skill 3 and skill 1. So right now I'm in ice. The reason why I'm in ice is because I have Soy on the team, which is an ice type. I'm gonna go back to wind because wind is just stronger. Then we can just do a skill 3. Once I use skill 3, it will summon the field. You see the field thing? So every time you use an wind skill, you will get this stack thing, which is a swan. I think that's why people call Mont Swan, because of the swan thing, which is kind of cool, I guess. Then I'm just gonna debuff a bit. I don't think I'll show the entire fight, but I just want to show how she works. Oh, it's gone, I guess. Debuff? Okay, I did get a debuff, that's cool. If I attack, I guess, sure. You see the animation. Very cool. That's terrible damage. But yeah, now it's just nice, it's also the field thing, so so a highlight is gonna do a bit more damage. That's very low damage, because again my team is not built at all. So I think I'll just cohesion, why not? I'll just do a cross skill right now. So you can see that it says 3 stacks now. The reason it says 3 stacks is because I used a highlight just now. So it gives me some stacks. And I think it caps at 3 stacks if I'm not wrong. Oh no, it's 4 stacks. 5 stacks, oh, that's more than I thought. Oh, I think it's because the highlight can surpass the limit, right? I can, oh yeah, I think that's why. Then you can do a skill 1. So once I do a skill 1, the field effect will like disappear. And then she will unleash the follow-up attack. And the damage is based on the number of stacks here. Okay, Blitzkrieg. Then you consume the stacks to do the follow-up damage. That is low damage because of my terrible characters. I think some of them are not even level 80. But anyways, that's enough for now.